Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy Roberto, and this is a DKN show coming live and direct from Kansas City, Missouri, my hometown. And hope you're having a good Monday. Sorry I've been on here in a while. I've been kind of busy. But I do have a pretty good segment. I hope you like it. It's about the World Series. As you know, the Washington Nationals and the Houston Astros are playing in this year's World Series. Now, over the years that I've watched baseball, I usually don't get very excited about it until the playoffs and then, of course, the World Series itself. A lot of people are like that, and I've been like that for years. Not to say that baseball is a very, very boring sport, but sometimes it can drag on, and then sometimes it can be exciting from beginning to end. And that's kind of the case with me. And also, I've come to do things like not actually watch the World Series unless it's a team that has not been there in a very long time, or a team that my city represents, which in this case, the Royals, who won in 2015. I wasn't living here at the time. I was actually living in Nebraska, and my brother sent me a hat in the mail from my Kansas City Royals. And, I wore it, and, everybody's like, oh, you're a Royals fan. No, I'm from Kansas City. Of course I'm a Royals fan. And so on and so on. So, to me, it makes it a lot more, it makes it more exciting. Because the whole time when the Boston Red Sox were going for the World Series and they won it, I watched the entire thing from beginning to end. And when the Royals, of course, was going to the World Series, I watched that from beginning to end. And it's, and both were very, very challenging. Some were actually easier than others. But the biggest one I watched, and this is even before the World Series, was the Chicago Cubs. A team that before 2016 did not have a World Series or World Series showing or appearance for 108 years. And I know a lot of Chicagoans that day, were beside themselves because they thought they probably would never be alive to even see the Cubs win the World Series. Myself included. I'm not from Chicago, but I love Chicago. It's a beautiful city. And I was very, very, I was like just beside myself. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this happened. And everybody kept calling it, them the lovable losers, and they'll get there next year. It was like their monarchy or something like that. It was like nobody actually believed, except for people in Chicago, that these guys will ever actually get back to the World Series and actually win it. And I'm not going to lie, myself included. I thought I would probably be in an old folks' home by the time they got back there. And they did. And when I heard that they were going to the World Series, I was like, wow. Okay, all right. Well, this is different. Now, of course, the color scheme for the Chicago Cubs and the Royals are somewhat alike but different. Instead of the big white KC on our hat, they got the red C on theirs. So, I've always loved Chicago. I've had a friend that lived there a long time ago, and it was a beautiful city. I mean, it has its problems just like any other city, but it's, it's Chicago, so it's going to be even bigger than that. And, of course, my favorite team back in the 1990s, of course, was the Chicago Bulls with the legendary NBA Hall of Famer Michael Air Jordan. And, it was a beautiful city. So when the Cubs actually won the World Series, I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh, okay, this is, wow. And I thought maybe some fat lady was going to come in and start screaming in my ear, talking about, oh, and I'd wake up and it'd be like a big damn dream. But it wasn't. And the same thing with the Red Sox. I don't particularly like Boston. I mean, it's a beautiful town too, but it's, you just got to live there to actually like it. And, when the Red Sox were playing to get to the World Series, I was intrigued by that too. I was like, because before they won their last one, not the one before, but the main one, the first one they won, it's been like 86 years before when they actually got there. I think Babe Ruth was still playing for them, man. I don't know for sure. But I was intrigued by that too. And I was like, wow, these guys are really kicking ass. Okay, well, I got to watch this. And they did not disappoint. They had all the drama of any kind of baseball game that you could think of in the World Series. You had a pitcher who was on his last leg, and literally on his last leg. And, you had the global losers of the team, and, just a whole bunch of stuff. They made it, and they won it. And, we got Big Papi, and all them other, guys that, made it to the World Series. But the biggest thing was when they was actually going through the Yankees to get there. I loved it. I have not been a Yankees fan. I don't like the Yankees. And even now, when they got beat by the Astros, I was elated. I mean, it's not that I don't like New York. I just don't like the Yankees, or the Knicks, or the Giants, or the Rangers. Okay. I know a lot of people are going to be like, man, well, screw you then. But I'm not a big Yankees fan. I don't think anybody besides the people in New York are big Yankees fans. It's kind of like the Boston with the New England Patriots. I can't stand them either. But any team that goes against the Yankees, I'm automatically for the other team. So, of course, when Boston, which is their main giant rival, was playing them to get to the World Series, I was all like, okay, come on, Boston. Y'all can do this, man. Y'all got this. You can do this. And sure enough, they was down. The Yankees whooped their ass for a little bit. And they came back and beat them and went to the World Series and won it. And I was so happy about that. Even though it wasn't the World Series, but it was still like they beat their biggest rival that year. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do this again. So I think they probably celebrate that more than the actual World Series because, the Yankees have been they're big time winners, and there's a lot of Yankee fans all over the world, me not included, but there's a lot of them. And Boston and New York fans they're very passionate about their teams. And to have two of them in the room at the same time, you're probably gonna have a fight. I've seen a few of them in my lifetime, and they do not play around when it comes to baseball. But as I said, the Nationals and the Astros are playing in this year's World Series. Now, being that the Washington Nationals used to be the Montreal Expos, which I did not know that until they got into the World Series, that's a big deal. I mean, Washington, D.C., they only had like the Washington Wizards or the Bullets or whatever the hell they call them now, back in the day. And to have baseball back in Washington, D.C., the home capital of the world, of our country, it's a big deal. And they sucked, just like anybody other team that comes into the new. But they made it to this World Series, and I hope that they win. I mean, it'll be nice. I mean, be a nice little icing on the cake for having them in Washington, D.C. in the first place. So, it's then on top of that, there's a win also for Canada because they used to be the Montreal Expos. So anybody that's in Montreal, they'll probably be like, oh, hey, okay, well, that team used to be ours, so maybe we won it too, whatever, I call it. It depends on the persons. So, and of course, the Houston Astros, they won it a couple of years ago, maybe last year, I don't know for sure. And they're a good team too. They wouldn't have got this far, they didn't. And they are... they got a big bullpen, they both do, and hopefully this will be a good series. It won't be like a sweep or anything. But if it is, then it's one of those late October, showings anyway. It gets cold around this time of year, and nobody wants to be outside longer than they can to watch this baseball game, unless you're just a die-hard, Nationals or Astro fan. But sports is usually like that. You have people that don't like other teams, but they love the team that they live near or with or whatever. And there's some that live right there in the city and can't stand the city's teams that they play for. Now, me on the other hand, I'm a born and raised Kansas City Missourian, through and through. But I have not been a Chiefs fan since 1987, for reasons I will explain. So nobody will come to my house and egg me. I rooted for the Chiefs for a very long time. And every time I rooted for them, they got their ass kicked. And the pattern is they can beat the best team in the NFL and then get their behind kicked by the worst team in the NFL. It's been like that for years. Recently, they haven't done that. They've been doing damn good, except for Mahomes going down. But over the past, like with Joe Montana and Elvis Gerbach and all them other, unnamed quarterbacks that we have had, the Chiefs came really close to going to the Super Bowl. Hell, they did it last year, and it just did not happen. And the last time the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl, and I can say this because my brother doesn't care, my brother was a baby. That was in 1971. That's when they actually won the damn thing. So they broke my heart so many times. I got laughed at. I got chased around. Take the damn Chiefs shirt off. You're crazy. That type of stuff. And I just said, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to stop liking them. And I prefer to keep doing that until they actually start playing like they're a real team. Now, like I said, recently they have. But I'm not going to jump on the bandwagons. I'm not one of those kind of guys that just jumps on like, hey, we won, and then forget about it or something like that. No. If they can't get it together with the defense and everything else, then what's the point of cheering for them? So, back to baseball. I don't know if you guys out there, ladies and gentlemen out there that are Astro or National fans, and I don't know for sure if you're even going to watch the damn game because, like I said, it only appeals to people that are actually in the actual World Series. And, I hope that your team, your team that you're rooting for wins, whether it be the Astros or the Nationals. I'm hoping the Nationals, but that's just me. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. Hopefully it'll be a good series. I mean, some baseball has been kind of boring, so hopefully it'll be a good series. I mean, I watched the Royals go from World Series to Barnyard in the last couple of years. And hopefully they'll get their act together before next season so that we can be back in this World Series before 30 years. Because the last time they were actually there before 2015 was 30 years ago. And I just couldn't believe that either. I was just watching TV and I'm sitting there like, honey, they're actually I'm telling my wife, I'm like, oh my God, they're in the World Series. I can't believe this. And they won it. But they wait until I get to Nebraska to do this crap. But then as soon as I moved back to Kansas City, they decide, hey, Robert's back. Let's go ahead and start sucking again. Great. Thanks a lot. So, but they'll get it together. Hopefully before I'm dead. And also to add a note, my upcoming birthday is coming on Thursday. I'll be 44 years old. Thank you. And I've seen a lot of stuff in my 44 years. I hope to see another 44 more or more than that. And I've, had a pretty good 43. I mean, it was good and bad and different, had some pretty touchy stuff happen, but it was mostly my wife and me, but not, doesn't really, well, it was serious. I'll put it that way. So anyway, if you do watch the World Series, and like I said, I hope if you are a fan of both teams, I hope that, this series is good for you. I hope you get your wish of a World Series championship. And hopefully it'll be a good series, like I said. I, on the other hand, will probably be watching basketball because this should be starting pretty soon. And I'll be into that more than anything. But sports is supposed to bring us all together, not tear us down or whatever. And may the best team win. There's no crying in baseball. Just remember that. So if your team doesn't win, you don't have to cry. There's always next year. Trust me, you can ask the Cubs that. They've been saying it for 108 years. You can say it for the next year or two. So it's no big deal. Woosah. And there's always going to be another trophy, and there's always going to be another World Series, unless the world blows up. And I seriously doubt that'll happen in the next year. So you guys have a nice night. I will see you down the road. Go World Series, go to Astros, go Nationals. And hopefully they'll put on a good show for you. From DKN, this is Robert from Kansas City. You guys take care. God bless.